I hereby summon all my imps. Hey everybody, it's Annabelle. Today's going to be the big record day, so if you're interested, I'm going to be doing a lot of recordings today. We're going to leave off where we last were with us with the next 10 that got revealed. The next 10 for us, number 1 is going to be Dinner Performer. Dinner Performer is a 3 mana cost neutral minion that's a 2/3 that has Battle Cry. Summon a random minion from your deck that you can afford to play. That's interesting because I do somewhat wonder if how this is actually coded, if it's that if you play this on 3 and you wasted all your mana, you don't draw a card, or you don't summon a random minion, or you just summon a 0, so like a 1/1, because technically at that point, if you play this on 3, you can afford to play 0, but if you play this on like, say, 8 or 9, you can afford, so let's say you play this on 9, that means you can afford a 6. And if you don't have a 0 in your deck, how does this work? Does it summon nothing? Do you still get to keep the mana? Because theoretically, if you play this down on 3, you can afford to play no other minions. Unless it's going the other way around, saying that you could afford to play 3 because you have 3 mana left in your that you could have used. But at that point, you technically can use 0, so it's kind of a weird card, and I gotta see how it actually codes itself. So that's what I'm gonna get this. I have to see how it codes itself. Next up for us is number 2. Number 2 for us is going to be Dispose of the Evidence. Dispose of the Evidence is a 0 mana rare demon hunter spell that has give your hero +3 attack this turn, choose a card in your hand, and shuffle it into your deck. Demon Hunter has other ways of getting attack that don't require a card to be thrown out of their hand. +3 is the equivalent to +2 for a lot of stuff, and for +2 for Demon Hunter, I think you can play 1 mana and not lose a card. There is going to be some Demon Hunter out there who just goes pure aggro and doesn't care. Demon Hunter does have the ability to draw a million cards when it wants to sometimes, so this might be the worst card in the world. There's going to be times where you have no hand already and you just play this for the extra 3 attack because you've already dumped your hand. So it's gonna come in interesting. It's gonna come in useful down the road because of how it works. But it's gonna be later game, I would say. So I'm gonna give this. I'll play it later. So up for us next is number 3. Number 3 for us is going to be Divine Toll. Divine Toll is a 7 mana paladin spell that has shoot 5 rays randomly at minions. They give friendly minions +2/+2 and deal 2 damage to enemy minions. This is going to be a good board equalizer. There's going to be times where you're going to want to deal 10 to minions on your opponent's side of the board for 7. Problem is at turn 7, 10 damage to minions on your opponent's side of the field might not be enough to clear off their side of the field. That's the problem. This might not be doing enough even at 10 for 7. If it hits badly or you kill one thing and maybe, you got 7 things on the board and, what's the likelihood that 7 things on the board are each going to take the exact right amount of damage? If something's got 1 left, it still deals 2 damage to them, and you waste that other half of the damage, so it's giving your stuff +10/+10, even if you gave 5 random minions +2/+2. That's going to be, I mean, basically you're playing this card for the way I would see it on turn 7, is you've got one card on the board that's your minion. You drop this down and you give your minion +10/+10 straight off the bat because it has to hit minions, and you just go straight to the face and you just make your opponent cry. So it's a very Hail Mary pass, so that's what I'm going to give this, a Hail Mary pass. Next up for us is card number 4. Card number 4 for us is going to be the Double Cross. Double Cross is the 2-mana rogue spell that has Secret. When your opponent spends all their mana, draw 2 cards. This is to punish early game anything. There's going to be a lot of times where you play on mana. It'd be almost stupid for your opponent to even know the Secret is down and to play off mana just so that you don't draw 2 cards. I mean, there's going to be turns where your opponent can't play off mana and you're going to be sad, but that's almost a good thing for you. Every time you can make your opponent not play full mana, it's great. It's almost kind of like when, what was it? Not Dirty Rat, but there was like the Giant Rat or whatever, where if your opponent played 3 spells in a turn, you got an 8/8 Rat and Hunter. This is close to that same card. I mean, it's not the same in stats and everything else like that, for sure, but your opponent a lot of times wouldn't play that 3rd card if they knew it was down, so you wouldn't get that Giant Rat. And a lot of times your opponent might play one off of Curve just to make sure you don't draw the 2 cards. It's a decently good card. It's just there's going to be times where people are going to make you really sad that you put the Secret down if they can figure it out, and you're not going to get the advantage of it sometimes. So the Double Cross can double cross you. Next up for us is going to be card number 5. Which is the Daedra Staff. Daedra Staff is a 1-mana 1/2 that has give a minion in your hand +1 health. Hand buff, decently good common. We'll see play in some decks, a lot of decks, just for that 1 extra health. Sometimes that 1 extra health means the difference between a minion in your hand living and dying. There's really no downside to this. It's just fine. It's a it's a good 1 filler. Next up for us is card number 6. Card number 6 for us is going to be the 10-mana Gigantitotem. Gigantitotem is a 10-mana epic minion for Shaman. That's an 8/8. It has +1 for each totem you summon this game. This is supposed to be Shaman's big payoff for playing totems, and you need to have summoned 10 totems for this to become 0/0 in your hand, so to be an 8/8/0/0. It's okay, it's an 8/8. Sometimes you can get this down on turn 4, turn 5 if you've played on Curve and gotten some of the other effects on here, but to me, that's a lot to throw into Shaman to make the Totem Shaman work just for this 1 payoff card. And just on a side note, this has nothing to do with how the card is actually written. I think you missed out on a big opportunity here to just call this Totem Golem, but I think they might have used that in the past for Totem Golem instead of Gigantic Totem. It's just, I don't know why you want to play Totem Golem for this payoff. It's a lot of bad, weird, low power cards to have this be your reward. So I'm giving this, hope this gets support in the future, but doubt it will. Next up for us is card number 7. No, card number 7 for us is Identity Theft. Identity Theft is a 3-mana common priest spell that has copy a card from your opponent's hand and deck. It's a nice card for priests. It's going to give them some pseudo card draw in their hand. Priest does like to steal stuff. Thief Priest is common. Mostly because Priest doesn't have a lot of its own good stuff to play. It's going to come into effect. People are going to throw it down. It's a good 3 filler. It's going to be times where you just get stuff. It's not going to bite you too often. You know, you get to see what's in their hand and you get to see what's in their deck, a little bit of information, and you get to play it. It's right where Priestess used to be. It's not fancy, but it's not bad either. So I'll give this 8 fancy, but 8 bad. Next up for us is card number 8. Number 8 for us is Invitation Courier. Invitation Courier is a 3-mana, 3/4 neutral minion from the set that has, after a card is added to your hand, add another class, from another class, copy it. This is Thief Rogue, this is Thief Priest. Anybody else isn't going to play this. There's very few other classes that can put anything else from something else in their hand. Thief Rogue, Thief Priest. Getting 2 copies of something you stole from your opponent is better than getting 1 copy. 3-mana, 3/4 is okay stats if you know you're going to steal something from your opponent on that same turn and you have the mana to do both. You're going to put this down and steal from your opponent 2, 3, 4 things instead of 2 things or 3 things. It's only in Priest and Rogue, so I'm going to give this only in Priest and Rogue. Next up for us is card number 9. Card number 9 for us is going to be Masked Reveller. Masked Reveller is a 6-mana common neutral minion that has Rush, Death Rattle, Death Rattle, summon a 2/2 copy of another minion in your deck. This is basically to cheat out something that's got a good Death Rattle or something that you want out of your deck, where you're looking for something with a good Death Rattle, because anything else you're going to be sad to get out of 2/2 copy. If you do have a good Death Rattle, that's where you're going for. Maybe you're looking for a Colossal, and just to get the other parts of the Colossal. You gotta watch out for this in certain decks, because this might be kind of close to a Muck Morpher to a certain degree, where you load up your hand with like really ridiculous stuff. You play this on 6 and you just throw it down, and Muck Morpher, you know, needs to be watched. So this might be the neutral Muck Morpher, and you gotta be careful about that in the future. So I hope there's some lever on this that doesn't make it so that everybody just plays this on 6 and that's what becomes the game. Next up for us is card number 10, so the last card in for us right now, which is going to be the Muck Plumber. Muck Plumber is a 5-mana, 5/5 card that says all minions cost 2 more, yours and your opponent. It's just basically a stall card. It's not a battle cry. It's not a Death Rattle. It's not a Rush. Your opponent's gonna kill it straight off the back with a spell, most likely, or if they have anything in the board, they're gonna trade into it. It's 5/5 do nothing, and that's what I'm gonna give this 5/5 do nothing. Right? As always, thank you so much for watching my next this 10 card review. And as always, remember, play for fun.